The first thing we're going to do is to create our project in Visual Studio. For it, we're going to indicate that we want to create a new project. We select the .NET Maui app template and we're going to name it, for example, Code Quotes. Once the project has been created, let's go to the main page file and remove the scroll view element since we want to use a grid element. Similarly, let's go to the main page.xaml.cs file and remove the event handler so we don't have any problems. I am also going to remove this field so that the code is a little cleaner and we are ready to begin. Let's return to the XAML file, and to this grid I am going to place a background color equal to navy. The purpose of this grid is that it serves us to show the background of the application. The background is the color that we are going to change dynamically as we press the button while we generate new quotes. As part of this grid, we will create an internal grid that will contain both the quote and the button, and therefore we will indicate that we want a margin of 25 units and also define a couple of rows to divide the section of the quote and the section of the button. Let's assign to the first row, for example, 80% of the available space, and to the second row, let's assign the remaining 20%. Remember that the first grid is going to be the background of the application, and the second grid will be in charge of containing the internal controls. And it is the one to which we are assigning a margin equal to 25. It is for this reason that we cannot have a single grid that forms the graphical structure of the application. The next step is to create the controls. The first control will be a label control. Let's set some properties such as a font size equal to 50. Let's indicate that we want the text aligned exactly to the center, and let's place an initial text. I'm going to copy and paste an initial quote. Let's also specify a text color equal to white, and finally, the vertical options equal to center. Let's close this tab, and then create the button that will be located in row number 1. Let's assign a background color equal to black, an opacity of 0.4, and a text equal to get new quote. It is important to note that this property called opacity allows us to display a transparency to the control in which we apply it. The higher the value, the control will have less transparency. The lower the value, the control will have more transparency. With these changes that we have made, I am going to make tests in a Windows device, and for it I will select the local machine in which I am. I do this to test other types of devices on which we can work with .NET Maui. Let's start the execution of the application, and once we have deployed the application, we can see it on the screen. We can see the label control and the button control that will allow us to generate a new quote. Finally, we're going to change the default font, and let's use the knowledge we have acquired from the previous section to import and use a font. The font is called Bison. I will drag and drop it into the fonts folder. Once we have imported the font, let's proceed to rename it from the mauiprogram.cs file. Remember that we can copy this line. Let's indicate that we want to use the font named Bison TTF. Let's assign an alias equal to main font. You can name it whatever you want. Let's return to the main page.xaml file, and let's indicate that we want to use a font family equal to, and let's assign the alias main font. We save the changes, and let's try once again the execution of the application. Once we have made this change, we can already see how the quote has a better appearance with the font that we have imported.